let's talk about the cursive variations of the lowercase letters, or the small letters as we call them. Right now you are looking at the standard letter forms of cursive script that I teach at consistentcursive.com. If you go over there, you can sign up for free and you can download this exemplar or worksheet of the standard lowercase letters. You also get the capital letters, and you also get access to some bonus videos as well if you sign up. But now in this video, we're going to talk about variations on these standard letter forms that I teach, okay? And this, you might want to add these variations into your script to give yourself, to give your script a little unique style, a little personality that fits you. Or you might just not like some of these forms and you might prefer one of the variations. So let's start with the letter B. So A, there's no variation on the letter A, so we'll go right into the letter B. And I'll make the standard form with my red pen here. And then I'll do a couple variations in black. So this is a popular variation, maybe a little more readable for modern people. Or you can do this unlooped B like this, and you could do either bottom part of it. I'll do the traditional ending there. You can do that unlooped B, a little more plain unlooped look. All right, let's do move on to the C. Here's our standard C, just like that. And here's what I would call a Spencerian C, okay? And if you need to go back and look at these, just feel free to rewind and look how I'm making these letters to get a second look at them. All right, let's look at the standard D. Just goes up like that, and then out. And you could do a looped version of this D. Goes a little taller, like that, looks very nice. Or you could do a terminal version of this D. And a terminal version of a letter is a form of that letter that you would only use at the end of a word, okay? As you can see, because this letter exits way up here at the top, you can't really connect into another letter after that, so you'd only use that at the end of a word. All right, let's look at the F. Here's the standard F. Two big loops, ascending and descending, with an exit like that. You could do this kind of more modern F, which loops in the other direction at the bottom. Or you could do this abbreviated unlooped bottom F like this. Okay? Move on to the G. The standard form first. Nice descending loop like that. Or you could do this hook G, you might call it. Just hook it like that. Or you could do the unlooped abbreviated G like that. Okay. All right, let's move on to the H. Here's our standard form, big loop at the top. Finish with that over under turn. And you could abbreviate the H as well, like this, without a loop. All right, no variation on the I, so we'll go straight to the J. Here's our standard J with a loop, descending loop. And similar to the G, you could do this hooked descending J like this, or you could do the abbreviated unlooped J like that. On to the K. Here's our standard K. And we could do an abbreviated unlooped K like this. Or we could do the same K unlooped with a little bit of a different finish where I go over, pick up the pen, and finish it like that. Now you could obviously do that finish with the loop as well if you wanted to. All right, there's no variation on the L, M, or N. So we will go right into the O. And here's our standard O. Or you could do this little more loopy modern O, where I finish with a little loop there instead. Okay, let's move on to the P. Here's the standard P that I teach at consistentcursive.com. Like that, with a nice descending loop. Or you could do a simpler P like this without the loop. Just go down, I pick up the pen there, right here, finish it the same way. A lot of people like that P, very popular. You could also shorten this ascending stroke so it doesn't go all as up as high, which would be fine as well. Or you could do a more traditional, what I would call a Spencerian P, which I'll do the same abbreviated unlooped stroke, and then I'll finish it like an H. And that is the traditional cursive Spencerian P. All right, now let's look at the Q. It's our standard Q loop, descending loop. Or you could do this again, more traditional, what I would call a Spencerian Q. That's where I've seen this before. And I've seen all these variations somewhere, either in modern handwriting or in the traditional cursive handwriting books from the early 19th or late 19th, early 20th century. Seen all these forms somewhere. And these aren't by any means the only variations that are possible. But this is a pretty good, almost comprehensive look at all the variations of the lowercase letters. All right, let's look at the R. Here's our standard R. And then we could do what I call an overturn R, which you might like the look of. Or you might find that you just flow into this letter in certain cases. If you're coming out of a letter, it's easier to flow into this overturn as opposed to this underturn. We also have a terminal R that you would use only at the end of a word because it finishes like that up high. All right, on to the S. Here's our standard S. And our variation, which I might call the high exit because it exits higher from up here instead of from the baseline. You could connect that into another letter, or you could end a word like that as well. All right, onto the T. Here's our standard T. Of course, you have to go back and cross this T when you're done with the word. You might not want to do that. You might want to use this, what I would call running hand style T, which just crosses itself as you go. So you just make your stem like that, and then you go into your next letter like that. Nice looking T, very readable. There's also the terminal T like this. It's not as readable, but it was very common in traditional American cursive to end. If you're ending a word with a T, end it like that. Just another option. It's all about options and what you like, what you prefer, and the style you're going for. Let's go to the U. Here's our standard U. Or you could do this overturn U, where you enter the U with an overturn like that, and a kind of a combo to an underturn, and then finish it like a regular U. It's a little different look. You do the same thing with the W. Here's our standard W. Or you could do that overturn. Like that. Everything else is the same except that beginning stroke. All right, there's no variation on the V. that I want to get into. Oh, we already skipped the V. That was before the W, but there's no variation on the V, so let's go to the X. Here's the standard X. You cross it after you make that stroke. Or you could do it like this. Do a little curved stroke like that, and then you just do a second stroke like that. Kind of like a C stroke almost. All right, let's look at the Y. This is going to be like our other descending loop letters. We have our standard long descending loop, or we have our two variations. We have the hook variation, like that, which I like. Or I also like this abbreviated unlooped Y. All right, and then for the Z, we have our traditional Z, which has our loop below the baseline like that. Or we can just do this hooked Z as well. Come out and just hook it like that. I don't see that straight unlooped Z at all, or unhooked or unlooped. That's the only variation I've really seen of the Z. So that's it. That is all the variations. Please go back, rewind, watch the ones that you want to, try out, incorporate into your script, and have fun playing with these different variations. You can see which ones kind of match up with each other. If you're going to loop your Y, then I would loop all my letters. I would loop my Z and my Q, and my G, my F. I'd keep all my loops. If I want to take all my loops out of the script, then I'd go with maybe all these hook descending letter forms. So this hook G and this hook J. I'd try to keep some consistency in the style, basically, is what I would do if I was thinking about adding these variations into my script. So those are the variations. Again, you can go to consistentcursive.com and you can download the standard letters here if you sign up, and you can start taking the course as well if you haven't done that yet.